My child, your sister is pregnant and hiding it. It will shock you to your core, because the Father is none other than your. My child, listen to me and do not rush your heart. What I am about to speak has been held in heaven for a long time, waiting for the exact moment when your spirit would be strong enough to receive it. This is not spoken to frighten you, but to free you. There are truths that cannot be delivered loudly. They must arrive quietly, the way dawn enters the sky. Soft at first, almost unnoticed, until suddenly everything is bright and nothing can return to darkness again. I have been watching you walk through your days with questions you could not name. You felt a heaviness that had no clear source. At times, you blamed yourself. At times, you wondered if you were imagining things. But my child, your spirit has never been confused. It sensed a shift long before your mind tried to understand it. That unease you felt was not weakness. It was discernment awakening. There is something unfolding behind closed doors, hidden behind smiles and ordinary conversations. It has been wrapped in silence, layered with excuses, and protected by fear. Not fear of you, but fear of truth. And heaven has been watching every step of it, not with anger first, but with patience. With warnings given gently, then firmly, then one final time. Your sister is pregnant, and she has been hiding it. I know how those words land in your chest. I know the first instinct of your heart is disbelief. You want to look for another explanation, another version of the story that hurts less. That is natural. You have always tried to protect peace, even when peace cost you your own comfort. But hear me clearly now, this truth cannot remain hidden any longer, because the weight of secrecy is beginning to spill into your life. It will shock you to your core, not because of the pregnancy alone, but because of who stands at the center of it. The Father is none other than a name your spirit already knows, but your heart is not yet ready to hear. You have felt this name before I speak it. You felt it when your breath caught for no reason. You felt it when your body reacted before your thoughts could explain why. You felt it in moments when the room felt heavy, when silence felt too loud, when something inside you whispered, something is wrong, even though nothing looked wrong on the surface. This is someone heaven watched cross a line they were warned not to cross. Warnings were given quietly at first, through discomfort, through delayed circumstances, through small obstacles meant to stop what was forming in secret. But those warnings were ignored. Desire spoke louder than conscience. Secrecy felt safer than honesty. And now, what was hidden has taken form and can no longer be undone. I need you to understand something very important, my child. This is not your fault. Not in thought, not in action, not in silence. You did not cause this. You did not miss a sign you were meant to catch. You were not responsible for guarding boundaries that were not yours to protect. The one involved knew better. This is the one whose presence has already been troubling your spirit without explanation. The one who smiled easily, spoke gently, and stood close enough to seem safe. The one you trusted, or at least never suspected. Familiarity can be dangerous when it wears the mask of innocence. This is a familiar soul who chose secrecy over truth, and silence over honor. I know your heart wants to ask, why didn't I see it? But my child, deception does not announce itself. It borrows the voice of normalcy. It hides behind routine. It survives because good hearts assume good intentions. Your goodness is not a flaw. It is a light. But even light can be taken advantage of by those who walk in shadow. Heaven saw the moment the line was crossed. Heaven saw the fear immediately afterward. Heaven saw the attempts to pretend it never happened. But pretending does not erase consequences. Silence does not undo creation. And now, the weight of this truth is beginning to press against the walls of secrecy. Your sister is hiding not only from you, but from herself. She is afraid, not just of your reaction, but of what this reveals about choices she cannot take back. Shame has made her small. Fear has made her quiet. And the one involved has chosen distance, avoidance, and silence, hoping time would somehow solve what only truth can heal. But time does not heal secrets. It only deepens them. You may feel anger rising, and that is human. You may feel grief for the version of trust that will never return in the same way. That grief is real. Do not shame yourself for it. Loss does not only come through death. Sometimes it comes through revelation. Still, I ask you not to act yet. There are moments in life that do not call you into battle, but into stillness. This is one of them. The voice that reaches you through this message is not commanding confrontation. It is not urging you to prove your worth or to chase clarity through chaos. It is calling you to grounding, to that sacred place inside where heaven touches the earth within you. You have carried too much that was never yours to hold, woven yourself into burdens that were born from choices you didn't make, and tried to fix storms that were never yours to calm. This message comes as a reminder. Your first responsibility is your heart, your peace, and your clarity. Before you speak, before you try to mend what has been broken around you, remember to protect what is still whole within you. You are not meant to bear the emotional weight of another's deception. You are not required to explain away the decisions of those who have chosen differently. The soul knows when a wound runs deeper than disappointment, it knows when a truth has been hidden. But even then, heaven asks for gentleness, not vengeance. The world may whisper that confrontation is strength, but heaven knows that restraint, rooted in peace, is power. Silence, when grounded in spiritual clarity, speaks louder than accusation. There will come a moment when truth will rise from the shadows. Not because you forced it, not because you demanded it, but because truth always knows how to find light. Lies carry weight that time cannot sustain. Secrets tremble beneath the vibration of divine timing. And when the moment comes, when truth steps forward and speaks, you will not be abandoned in that moment. Heaven will stand beside you. The air might grow heavy, the silence may stretch long, but you will not be alone in the room where words fall and eyes look away. There is something holy about the instant when light enters a hidden place. In that instant, divine justice does not roar, it simply reveals. Until that revelation unfolds, your task is not to chase, argue, or uncover prematurely. It is to stay grounded. Watch. Listen. Breathe. Notice how your body responds when certain presences enter your space. We often overlook the truth whispered by our physical being. The tightening in the chest, the knot in the stomach, the shift in air that only your spirit can feel. That is divine intelligence, shaped through experience, pain, and intuition. Your spirit has been trained through heartbreak and healing to recognize what your mind still tries to justify. Do not dismiss that training. It was purchased through tears, long nights, and prayers you didn't know were being heard. That inner wisdom is not paranoia, it is discernment. You learned it the hard way, and now it stands as part of your spiritual armor. But even as you recognize what is true, do not turn pain inward. This revelation does not accuse you, it releases you. It does not diminish your worth or prove you were foolish, it simply shows that you loved with sincerity in a world that doesn't always reciprocate with honesty. There is nothing naive about loving unguarded. To love honestly is not to be blind. It is to reflect heaven's nature, even when others reflect something else. The purity of your intention is not erased by the impurity of another's choice. You did not lose your dignity when they lost their integrity. The one who crossed that unseen boundary knew the cost before the act was complete. Spirit warns, always, before the fall. The conscience stirs, the silence grows thick, the heart hesitates, and still, they chose. That moment belongs to them, not to you. Their decision wrote its own consequence, one you are not meant to carry or unravel. You cannot heal what they refuse to face. You cannot protect them from the seeds they have sown. Some teachings can only emerge through the weight of personal accountability. Hand that burden back to its rightful owner. Heaven is not asking you to harden your heart or to wish misfortune upon anyone. Heaven is asking you to see, with clear eyes and quiet strength. Truth, at its core, is never meant to destroy. It is meant to separate shadow from substance. There is a separation coming, and it will feel unfamiliar at first. It may not be physical right away, though that time may come. It will begin as an invisible distance, a soft dissolving of connection where closeness once stood. Energy that once intertwined will begin to release. Conversations will feel strained. You'll sense that what once sustained you now leaves you drained. Do not fight that flow. This is not rejection, it is redirection. It is heaven protecting your peace by raising the spiritual boundaries your mind might hesitate to establish. This is divine protection disguised as distance. And though it may sting, it is not punishment. Mercy often looks like separation before it feels like safety. The emotional space you begin to feel is the first breath of healing. Let it come. As the days unfold, confusion will give way to clarity. The fog that once clouded your understanding will begin to lift quietly, moment by moment. You will start to see the pattern, the cause and effect, and the meaning behind the delays. Peace will return, but it will not resemble the peace you once knew. It will be deeper, something unshakable because it will no longer depend on external harmony but on internal alignment. You will look back on this season not with bitterness, but with awe. There will come a morning when you realize that what felt like a breaking was actually the releasing of everything that no longer aligned with truth. For now, treat yourself gently. Eat slowly. Rest deeply. Reconnect with the simplest acts of living that remind your body it is safe. Let yourself laugh when laughter returns. Do not replay conversations in your mind searching for hidden meanings or missed signs. That search will only reopen wounds already closing. You are not on trial before heaven or before yourself. You are being prepared for something that will require a healed heart and a focused spirit. I am with you in this moment, right here, right now, the divine voice that has never once stepped away, that walks beside you through every silence and every storm. I am closer than your next breath, nearer than the quiet space between one thought and the next. There is no distance between us, no veil thick enough to separate what is eternally woven together. When the truth finally rises and speaks with a volume you never expected, when it echoes through every chamber of your being, I will not withdraw. I will remain. Even as the weight of what you now understand presses down, threatening to steal your air, I will place my steady hand beneath your chest and remind your lungs how to rise again. I will not rush you through the ache. I will sit with you in the unbearable quiet, holding space where words would only fracture what is tender. When your heart cries out for answers, for reasons, for some map that makes sense of the chaos, I will not hand you quick, brittle explanations that crumble under scrutiny. Instead, I offer you my presence, the kind that needs no translation, the kind that simply is. And when guilt arrives like an old, familiar shadow, murmuring that you should have seen it sooner, should have known better, should have protected yourself more fiercely, listen to my gentler whisper in return, you did see. You did feel. You dared to hope. That hope was never foolishness. It was never weakness. It was the purest evidence of the light that still burns inside you, undimmed, unbroken. Hope is the language your soul speaks when the mind has no words left. It is holy. It is yours. Do not apologize for it. Nothing sacred within you has been stolen. Nothing essential has been tainted or diminished. Trust that truth with every fiber of who you are. Others may have misused energy, twisted intentions, cast shadows where there should have been light, but they cannot reach the core of you. The divine image imprinted upon your being at the moment of your creation remains pristine. It is not fragile glass to be shattered, it is living flame, eternal essence, incapable of being extinguished by human hands. You have traveled through darkness before. You have known nights so deep they felt like forever. And every single time, you rose again. Not merely intact, but luminous, carrying a softer glow, a deeper knowing. This chapter will be no different. The pattern of your life has always been emergence, not erasure. You are still whole. Say it slowly, let it settle, you are still whole. You are still protected, wrapped in a guardianship that never sleeps, never wavers. You are still loved. Not because you endured, not because you performed strength when everything inside screamed to collapse, but because love arrived for you long before the first wound was ever inflicted. Heaven loved you in the cradle of eternity, before time learned your name, before pain had permission to visit. That love is not conditional. It does not rise and fall with how clearly others see you, how gently they treat you, or how perfectly you navigate betrayal. Your worth is anchored in something far beyond the shifting tides of human perception. It is fixed, unchanging, radiant. Even in this exact moment, while confusion swirls and grief presses close, you are not alone. Angelic presence encircles you, quiet, constant, tender. They soften the sharpest edges of what could have broken you completely. They guide the parts of you that wandered too close to harm. They stand guard over the purity that must remain untouched. You may not feel their wings, but they are there. You may not hear their voices, but they are singing over you still. Their work is subtle, invisible to the physical eye, yet it is the very reason you can draw breath when the sorrow feels too heavy to carry. Be still now. Stop striving for a moment. Let these truths seep past the frantic surface of your mind and sink deeper, past thought, past emotion, into the quiet marrow of your bones where knowing lives beyond language. You do not have to chase evidence of your safety or your restoration. Truth moves toward you with divine precision, unhurried, exact. Time itself is your ally, even when every clock seems frozen. The veils that once hid deception are thinning now, thread by thread. Masks that were worn so confidently are beginning to slip, revealing what was always there beneath. When revelation comes, and it will arrive in ways so undeniable that doubt will have no foothold left. Yet even that unveiling is not the final act. It is the opening of a new chapter, one in which your peace is no longer a negotiation, no longer something you must beg for or earn. It becomes your birthright once more. You will not leave this storm carrying bitterness tucked into your pockets like proof of what you survived. You will leave carrying something far more sacred, discernment. It will settle into you quietly, not loud or sharp, but steady and sure. You will see clearly without becoming cold. You will understand deeply without becoming hardened. The sharp edges that once cut your spirit will soften, not because you forgot the pain, but because wisdom has a way of smoothing what suffering tried to splinter. You will grow gentler, yes, but do not mistake gentleness for fragility. Your softness will no longer be something others can exploit. It will be protected by boundaries shaped through experience, boundaries born not from fear but from self-respect. You will know when to open your heart and when to guard it. You will no longer explain yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. You will conserve your energy. You will choose peace over performance, truth over approval, alignment over attachment. You will walk differently through the world. There will be a lightness in your step that surprises even you. Not because life suddenly became easy, but because you stopped carrying what was never yours to hold. You will finally understand that healing was never about erasing the past or pretending the wound never existed. Healing was always about remembering who you were before the wound arrived, and then recognizing, slowly, tenderly, that she never left. She did not disappear. She did not die. She waited. She waited beneath the noise, beneath the grief, beneath the relentless questions that kept you awake at night. She waited beneath the layers you built to survive. She waited patiently until the moment you were strong enough, safe enough, ready enough to reach down and lift her back into the light. That version of you, radiant, trusting, alive, was not naive. She was brave. She was not foolish. She was open. And openness was never your flaw, it was your gift. The world may have tried to convince you otherwise. Pain may have whispered that you needed to close yourself off to survive. But you will come to see that your ability to feel deeply was never a weakness. It was proof that your heart was alive. And now, as you reclaim her, you will do so with wisdom alongside wonder, discernment alongside compassion. You will no longer abandon yourself to keep others comfortable. You will no longer shrink to fit spaces that cannot hold your truth. So breathe, beloved. Let the breath be slow. Let it be deliberate. Let it be a small rebellion against the urgency that insists you must hurry, that you must move forward before you are ready, that you must be over it by now. Breathe anyway. Inhale as if you are calling yourself back home. Exhale as if you are releasing a weight you have carried for far too long. Release the need to control the timeline. Release the belief that healing should look a certain way or take a certain shape. Release the illusion that you must fix everything with your own hands. Some things were never meant to be repaired by force. Some things are only restored through surrender. Heaven is already at work on what you cannot touch. While you rest, while you grieve, while you question, unseen hands are arranging what you cannot orchestrate. This ground beneath you, though it feels unsteady, though it aches beneath your feet, is holy ground. Not because the circumstances are pleasant or gentle, but because they are transforming you. What feels like breaking is actually becoming. What feels like loss is making room. One day, with the clarity only hindsight can give, you will see it. You will look back and realize that this season altered you in ways nothing else could have. It stripped away illusions you once mistook for safety. It revealed truths you could no longer ignore. It cleared space for a life that fits you more honestly. Every wound you tend now is quietly becoming a doorway. Every place you touch with compassion instead of shame opens into deeper wisdom. Every tear that falls is not evidence of weakness, it is a cleansing. It is washing away residue from what was never meant to stay. The pain is not meaningless. It is alchemical. It is changing you at levels too deep for words. Even now, while you feel suspended between what was and what will be, something sacred is happening. Heaven has gone ahead of you. Before you ever took that first trembling step into this valley, grace was already preparing the path of your healing. There will be moments, yes, there will, where loneliness feels absolute. Where silence presses in so tightly you wonder if anyone remembers you at all. Where it seems you are walking without companion or comfort. In those moments, you may be tempted to believe you have been forgotten. But if your eyes could pierce the unseen, if your heart could perceive beyond the limits of what is visible, you would see the vast company that surrounds you. You are not alone in the way you think you are. Presence does not always announce itself with noise. Sometimes it stands quietly beside you, honoring your process, refusing to rush what must unfold with care. Angels stand watch precisely where confusion has made its home. They do not interrupt your questions or silence your ache. They do not demand faith when your hands are shaking. They hold the space. They guard the threshold. They wait until answers can arrive safely, until truth can be received without causing further harm. Grace is at work even when you feel stalled. Grace is rewriting the story while you sleep, editing out what was false, restoring what was always true. You may not see the revisions yet, but they are happening line by line, moment by moment. And when the season shifts, because it will shift, When the silence has completed its sacred work, you will know. No one will need to tell you. There will be a steadiness in your chest where anxiety once lived. Your heart will stop bracing for impact. Your breath will deepen. Your voice will rise without apology. You will speak not from the raw place of injury, but from the calm center of peace that has been rebuilt beneath the surface. You will no longer explain yourself to justify your healing. You will no longer bleed to prove your sincerity. You will simply be. You will stop spending yourself trying to repair what was shattered beyond mending. You will stop revisiting ruins in the hope they might become homes again. Instead, you will turn toward creation. You will build something new, something luminous and honest, something rooted in truth rather than fear. What you create will not be rushed. It will be intentional. It will be aligned with who you have become. And the foundation beneath it will be strong, cleared and strengthened by everything you have endured. Nothing was wasted. Not the waiting. Not the weeping. Not the nights you thought you would never survive. Until that moment arrives, be gentle with yourself. Gentleness is not indulgence, it is wisdom. Stay grounded in the small, real things that anchor you to the present moment. The warmth of sunlight on your skin. The rhythm of your breath rising and falling. The quiet comfort of a blanket around your shoulders. The simple miracle of being alive right now. Let healing unfold at its own pace. Do not force it into premature completion just to make others comfortable. There is no prize for finishing early. There is only the quiet reward of finishing whole. Remember this, what feels like delay is often protection in disguise. What feels like being held back may be what is keeping you safe from returning to what would harm you again. Every pause has purpose. Every stillness is part of a larger orchestration, teaching you trust, teaching you patience, teaching you that you are held even when you cannot feel the arms around you. You were never abandoned. You were being shielded. You were never losing ground. You were being refined. The fire did not come to consume you. It came to remove what could not endure. It came to polish what was real. It came to prepare you for a clarity you could not have reached any other way. You are emerging with eyes that see, a heart that knows, and a spirit that will no longer betray itself for temporary relief. You are learning to stand in your truth without bracing for rejection. You are learning that peace is not found in control, but in alignment. One day, perhaps sooner than you think, you will look back at the moment you once believed would destroy you. You will remember how small and frightened you felt. You will remember how heavy the nights were, how endless the ache seemed. And then you will see it differently. You will recognize that moment as something else entirely. The precise instant restoration began. Not loudly. Not dramatically. But decisively. Heaven moved then, even if you could not see it. The turning point was not obvious, but it was real. You will smile when you realize it. Not because the journey was painless. Not because you escaped unscathed. But because you will finally understand how every ache, every tear, every dark hour carried purpose. They were not punishments. They were instructions. They were part of the map leading you home to yourself. They guided you away from what was false and toward what was true. They taught you how to listen inwardly, how to trust your own knowing, how to honor your limits. You are becoming whole again in ways that cannot yet be seen with earthly eyes. Much of this work happens quietly, beneath the surface, where no one applauds and no one notices. But it is real. It is thorough. It is perfect in its timing. You do not need to rush it. You do not need to prove it. You only need to remain present to it. Keep breathing, my child. Let each inhale draw in light, even if you can only manage a little at a time. Let each exhale release what is ready to go, old guilt, old fear, old stories that no longer belong to you. You do not have to release everything at once. Healing honors gradual letting go. Trust the process that is unfolding within you. Trust the wisdom that is guiding it. The dawn is already stirring on the horizon. It does not need your effort to arrive. It knows your name. It has always known where to find you. And when it reaches you, when light finally spills into places that have been dark for so long, you will be ready. Not because you were flawless. Not because you never doubted. But because you stayed. Because you breathed through the fear. Because you were faithful to the unfolding, even when you did not understand it. The light will find you, just as it always has. It has never lost sight of you. Rest now. Lay down the vigilance. You are safe. You are seen. You are loved beyond measure. What is coming toward you carries peace, not threat. It carries restoration, not demand. The dawn will find you soon. And when it does, you will rise. Not as someone who merely survived, but as someone who has come home to herself at last.